and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelly, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy Tuesday. It's How to Tarot Tuesday, and what that is every Tuesday I pick one card from the 78 card tarot. I go in sequential order, starting with the Major Arcana and into the minors. And what I do is from 3 different tarot decks, I choose what I feel is the best representation of the card that we're talking about. The introduction of the video talks about the symbolism in the card. And then after we talk about the symbolism, we go ahead and pull a 3-card spread or a card spread with both tarot and oracle, and I go ahead and see how that card manifests in your life. If you ever want to jump straight ahead to your reading, you're welcome to do so. All of the timestamps are in the description box below. And today we are on the second card of the Minor Arcana, which is the 2 of Wands. So just a few brief announcements before we get started. I wanted to thank everyone for their support. You know, times have been kind of crazy. I don't know if you are in North America or in other parts of the world. You know, the news and things going on in the world have been very scary lately, and I know everyone is feeling it, everyone is affected, and it's interesting. I had quite a few events happen in the last few days and quite a few phone calls today that were just really eye-opening. I've been doing a separate video series here on my channel called Eco Girl in a Modern World. So if you are, the majority of the content on my channel will always be card readings, so please don't worry if you see posts for more of an environmental stint. What it is that I'm taking an environmental class, and it's a subject that I've always been really passionate about. So I am posting 1 video a week up until Earth Day that talks about environmental issues. You do not have to click on those videos if you see them come up under the posts under my channel, but it is just a secondary video series that I've been doing that I will continue through Earth Day and maybe a few videos after that. But a lot of what's been going on in the world currently has really affected and impacted that effort, and it's I just wanted to share with you that, you know, as we've been going through as a nation, as a country, as a world, we've been going through a lot of challenging things lately. I've found a really powerful solace in music. I'm not sure what it is. It's just, I just really feel like, you know, things are speaking to me through music, and I've had references to songs pop out to me recently, and it's interesting. This is just a personal card. You know, on day 19 of the 31 days of tarot, I showed you how I pull cards for myself. And last night I pulled this card, which is music for manifesting, right? And you know, today was a full moon, and it's just interesting. It's amazing how, you know, when things get tough, you know, sometimes you can really, there are symbols everywhere is what I'm learning. And so in addition to your reading today, I did want to kind of share something special because I am feeling kind of in tune with music. I got a new card deck, which is the Music Oracles. And it's this really awesome oracle deck that actually has like the name of musicians and quotes and like symbolism. So what I'll do is, just as kind of an added bonus to kind of spice things up today, for I normally pull out oracle decks or additional decks with my weekly energy card readings, but I decided to go ahead and add it to the How to Tarot today just because I felt moved to, you know, I felt really inclined to put a little bit of music in our read today. So enough gum flapping. I will go ahead and get straight into it. Today we are talking about the 2 of Wands. And the 2 of Wands is a very interesting card. In the first deck, which is always the Rider-Waite-Smith, you see a man who looks very affluent, right? He's wearing a red cloak, which means, you know, power and drive and energy. And he's got kind of what looks like, you know, kind of like the hat. It's not quite a crown, but it's not quite, you know, that of a commoner, so to speak. So it definitely looks like someone who's definitely come pretty far so far. he seems to be standing on top of a tower, what looks like the rivets of a tower. And on one side, you see the symbol of the rose and the lily. And next to him, and also in the background, you see mountains. And you also see what looks like a lake or even a sea, right? And he seems to be looking out over the water, right? Looking out into the distance. On one side, you see the first rod, which we talked about last week, which is the Ace of Wands. But what's interesting is you see that this rod is kind of bolted to the wall, right? It's stationary. He's not holding it. And then his other hand, he has the rod on top of the rivet, right? It looks like, it's higher than the other one, and he's holding it. And then in his hand, as he looks out into the future, you see he has a globe. He has the world in his hand. So definitely, the Two of Wands is it's very powerful. Last week when we talked about the Ace of Wands, we talked about that jolt of energy and how you just really have that drive to start something new. And the Two of Wands is kind of the very powerful, build up that follows the ace, right? You had your ace, you had your powerful start, right? And we talked about how aces can sometimes start real fast but not get off the ground. When you have the two of something, it's almost like having 2 feet, right? It's the expansion. It's like, okay, that first Ace of Wands led somewhere, right? It led somewhere. That rod is bolted, right? It's part of the environment now, right? So when you look at the Two of Wands, it really has a lot of symbolism, and it's very, just like all the wands, it's very energetic when you look at it. It definitely first means that, with as high off the ground and, up at the top of the tower, it really first off means that someone commands attention. Again, the way this person's dressed definitely looks like he's accomplished something, right? And it really looks like he has, his beginning has gotten legs, right? It has started to go in a positive direction, right? It's starting to go somewhere. Now, the other thing is that it definitely can mean the early stages of an enterprise. It can kind of mean seeing how things develop, because again, he's kind of looking out on the water. He's almost he's got that globe in his hand, like, okay, what's coming next? And it is a little bit of an expectant look. A lot of times when you look at the two, you can kind of get that feeling of, maybe something got a good start, and you kind of get that feeling that, okay, is this going to continue to go in the right direction, right? Is this going to continue to go as planned? It can be transition. The fact that it's the number 2 usually means partnership. It usually means balance between 2 factors. So what this can also mean is it can mean the growth of an enterprise, meaning that maybe you started off as a small business and then all of a sudden you're becoming bigger. It's almost like you start off as one, like I always think of a stone being thrown into the water. You get the initial plunge, but then you get ripples that come out from it, and it's like the second ripple. It's like the first echo of the boom, of what you began, and it's about kind of taking a risk. The other thing that's really big about this, and it's so funny, I for the second deck I went with the Anna K Tarot, and I realized just now that I had also used it for the for the Ace of Wands, but I absolutely love this imagery. Here you see someone who's holding 2 rods or 2 wands, and he's sitting at a crossroads. He's kind of like, okay, do I go this way or do I go that way, So definitely in both cards you can see that the 2 means a choice. The fact that you have that one rod bolted to the wall, but yet he's kind of holding and more active with the second rod, it's almost like, should I leave this one endeavor and go to this other one? Sometimes that can be about when you've, maybe you started one business and you're ready to sell it and try something else, or, maybe again, you might have the choice between 2 things. You can see this person's made it pretty far. And he has the globe in his hand. The thing about that globe is definitely it's about, he wants the world, right? Either that or he wants to travel the world. Sometimes the Two of Wands can mean travel, or it can mean broadening your horizons. You know, it's almost like the dream of what you want to do next. You know, you got off to this great start, so you're thinking, what can I do next? The third deck that I chose is I did go with the Linestrider Tarot, and I love how the fact that it still has the globe, but it has a rabbit. And it looks like the rabbit's ready to run, and it does have some of the same lilies, which means experience. And now, again, it can also mean a little bit of choice. Again, we talked about wands being a little bit seductive too, and the fact you have a rabbit here. It can be a choice between two passions, you know, or two things that you're passionate about. That's another kind of meaning in this too, is that when you're really stuck, you don't know which way to go. And, you know, you are thinking, okay, it's also kind of that thing of what would give me the world, you know, what would give me the outcome? Because again, he's already standing on top of a castle, you know, what else could you possibly want in that situation? So in that same vein of choice, you know, the Two of Wands can also mean, you know, being on top of this castle is pretty prestigious. Do I want to leave that? And, you know, because you never know. You don't know what that lake will bring you, right? He can come down out of that tower and, you know, travel to do new things. But will those new things be better than what he's doing now? Like, is this new wand going to be better than the first wand, right? And remember that Ace of Wands is pretty darn exciting. It's almost novelty in the way that it really, you know, it was your jump off point, right? It was your jump start, right? So a lot of times, and again, with it being wands, there's a really strong element of choice. The other thing that I always see is that I do also kind of see it as a little bit of a gambling card. You're kind of gambling, okay, you already have that one wand and it's pretty secure, it's bolted to the wall, right? So you're gonna are you gonna take a chance and end up with two wands, or are you gonna lose both your wands, right? You know, it seems like he's willing, he really looks like he almost wants to jump off that cliff and go towards that globe, right? He's looking with his back turned to that first endeavor. The other thing that I kind of see is that I do always take this as a little bit of a card of restlessness or being torn. So that's where this imagery really does speak to me. Because when you think about it, it's like he doesn't know which way to go, right? He's still standing. He's not lifting his feet to go anywhere. But he's looking so intently out at what could be. He's not really, you know, that first wand doesn't really have his attention anymore, right? It's almost like it's just, you know, not really what he's passionate about anymore. A lot of times it is about taking the initiative, and, you know, a lot of time it's about facing fear too. Again, in that vein of just, you know, hey, let's just do it, you know. I see this, I have this potential of this other wand. Why not explore this? You know, the first one turned out great. What if I can, you know, put lightning in a bottle again and do it with this other endeavor? You know, the other thing is it is a little bit about creating your own style and kind of doing your own thing, like, you know, going against the grain. Because again, you know, you see this person who looks like they have it all, but, you know, they are daring to do something different, you know, that they might, you know, again, the one wand is permanent, it's there. This other one is free. And definitely it is kind of also about, you know, it is about partnership and joint endeavors, because, you know, maybe someone also is holding down the fort, you know, with the first endeavor, where you can go on to other things. It could be the partnership in the sense that maybe someone bought your business and is managing your startup, and then that frees you to go do something else. It can also mean a lot of successful negotiation, right? Because here, this person's looking out in the distance. It's a lot of forethought. He's planning, right? He's planning. He isn't taking action yet, but he's definitely looking to see how things are gonna shake out, right? The other thing is that it really does, you know, hint that this is planning. You know, it's someone who is planning to see how things are going to go. So if you see this next to Pentacles or anything like that, these can be very business kind of strategic moves. You know, if you see this next to a card that means, you know, meetings or, you know, advising, you know, it definitely means, like if I saw the Two of Wands next to the Three of Pentacles, that could be, you know, the merger of companies, or it can be, you know, the plans to develop something new, you know, to grow, definitely to grow. And also, it can also, again, with the fact that he has the globe in his hand and he has the water in the distance, you know, these cards were really made in a time when, you know, a lot of travel occurred by boat or by train, you know, not even train, more by boat. So it really does mean, you know, it could mean a move. It could mean that you're about to travel internationally. That usually means the same thing, you know. You're getting away from what you know, right? That first wand is what you know. You know, it almost looks like a walking stick. This other wand, right? You're ready to go out and find new adventures, and you're definitely daring to. You're taking the risk that you're gonna have a good time. Now, one last meaning that you can see is that sometimes it can mean that you're waiting for a reply, right? You know, again, like here, you could be, you know, this bunny, you know, all pun intended, he looks like he's all ears, right? He looks like he's waiting and like, okay, when am I going to hop off? You know, am I staying here or am I hopping off into the distance, right? So a lot of times it can mean, you know, and again, the fact that a lot of communication occurred by water, a lot of travel occurred by water, you could be waiting for your ship to come in. That's more of a three of wand meaning, but, you know, maybe again, the fact that he has this globe in his hand, it's almost as if he's offering it to someone, right? Or he's waiting for that person. It does look like he's almost a diplomat standing on the shore waiting for the person, you know, waiting for someone to come up to him with this great offer, right? You know what, I never thought, this is the first time I've ever noticed this. And almost, you know, when you're waiting for someone to pick you up in the car, right? You know, when you're all excited, maybe you're going out. This could very well mean that you're waiting, you know, all dressed up and ready to go out to, you know, some kind of event that you're going to talk about serious matters, you know. In this vein also, because the wands mean action, could very well mean that you're, you know, close to, maybe if you're a guy watching the reading, could mean that you're ready to propose to someone, you're ready to give somebody the world, you know, and you're all dressed up and, you know, ready to go out to eat or, you know, do what you want to do. Oops, sorry guys, my cord is getting stuck. All right. Hope you can still hear me. I just kind of rolled over my microphone cord. Sorry guys. Might cut that out of the video, sorry. But yeah, so definitely in that event, you know, it definitely means that, you know, also when it comes to the Two of Wands, if you're talking about a person, you know, it can mean that someone who's being very proud. Again, this person is standing at the top of a tower, right? Kind of untouchable. It can be someone who's doing negotiations, because again, we talked about someone who's waiting, almost like with gifts, you know, ready to give someone the world. But it can also mean someone who's a very good traveler. You know, maybe you've climbed Mount Everest. Maybe, you know, you've done a lot of, or maybe you're always looking forward too. That's the other thing that I see. This person is always looking forward, or sometimes, you know, it could be, well, we'll get to that in a minute. It's probably more of it in the reverse, but definitely someone who's always aware of what the next move is going to be, you know. And you've definitely met those kind of people in their life, the folks who are always on the go, right? You know, they achieve one milestone and then they're looking to the future for what they can do next, right? Now, if you were talking about the Two of Wands in reverse, that is definitely, this could definitely mean a delay. A lot of times I see it as kind of stifled energy, again being the wands. It could be somebody who was jilted, or maybe there was some kind of an agreement or some type of really important negotiation that fell through. It could be someone who's not being very diplomatic. It can also be, it can be a little bit of just having that crestfallen feeling, you know, like you had all this anticipation of this going somewhere and then it doesn't go anywhere, right? It's like that bunny being, you know, let down, so to speak. It can also be that you could be losing interest. Again, you know, the fact that this person's looking out into the future, and when you think of it in the reverse, they're just not really, you know, they're not as interested anymore. It just isn't as exciting as it used to be. It can also be difficulties in partnerships, and it can kind of lead to a lot of passionate disagreements. Again, the wands are the fire folks, so, you know, maybe each person has really strong beliefs and it's just causing a lot of difference of opinion. It can also be a little bit of self-doubt. Again, you know, that globe in his hand, you know, him thinking, if you've ever told yourself, oh, well, you know, I couldn't do that, I couldn't have that, you know, you're kind of telling yourself, oh, well, you know, the world is out there for me. No, it's not. I can't have the world, you know, that kind of feeling. So it can be some negative self-talk or negative self-doubt. You know, it can be like really over a lot of excessive pride. Like you could be, you know, getting a little bit out of control, or if this is a person, it can be someone who is getting, you know. The thing that I think about with the rabbit when it comes up in the reverse is that I think of someone who's real flighty. You know, and again, you know, God bless it, because I have a lot of friends who are so outgoing, but have you ever had those moments in life where you get so gung-ho about something, it's almost like you trample over everyone, you know, well, I want to do this, and then when you finally get this, it's just not fulfilling at all. But you were restless, right? You were restless and you were like this bunny, you know, gotta go. I think of that little thumper foot, you know, from Bambi, the little thumper foot. Like, I gotta go, you know, this is, the other thing that I get is that people who want to go too far too fast. That's a big one. Wow, I'm getting a lot out of this, guys. This is new stuff. I've never, it's amazing how when you actually talk about it and you're not just seeing it in a read, because, you know, I usually take it by the context. But yeah, definitely, because when you think about it, sometimes this can be somebody, it can be a little bit of, the Two of Wands in reverse can be a little bit of someone who's a little spoiled, maybe someone who was given things without having to earn them, so therefore they think they're entitled to it. But a lot of times I do just think it's that restlessness. It's like, okay, you know, let me travel to this country, and then you get there and you're just like, well, you know, I should be enjoying myself, but you're not, you know. It's almost like you're searching for something, right? You're searching for your meaning, you're searching for your world. And you're kind of sometimes you can really be running yourself ragged with it too, you know. You're just searching and you're not finding it, right? The thing, you know, definitely is with the wands being action, is that you're following through with it with action. But you might be kind of chasing your own tail or chasing windmills. I do think of Don Quixote. But definitely, when it comes to situations, it can just definitely mean that, you know, your enthusiasm is really blocked or hindered. You feel like this isn't going to work, or things are falling through. You can feel a little disillusioned or a little slighted, you know, again, you know, with the pride aspect of it. I just really kind of get the vibe like you thought it was a wonderful idea, and the wonderful idea would have grown if everything turned out the way that you wanted it to, right? And it can be everyone else's fault, except, you know, that it just didn't work out, right? Sometimes things just don't work out, right? But it would, you know, if you see the Two of Wands in the reverse next to, you know, another card of disappointment, like maybe the Eight of Cups or the Five of Cups, you know, that would definitely be like a why didn't this work out kind of combination, you know. But it would be dissatisfaction and just kind of a sense of futility too. And oh my gosh, talk about the feelings of the day. This is a perfect card to talk about today, seriously, because when you feel like things are futile, you feel like you can try and try and try, but You know, what good is it going to do? That would be definitely a Two of Wands in the reverse kind of energy. And, you know, and again, it's not positive. It's, you know, because the wands are such beautiful, energetic energy. So anytime, and it's interesting, you know, there's a lot of meaning in reversals, but I have to admit, when I see the wands in the reverse, that almost makes me sad, because it is such powerful energy. It's such vibrant energy, and to see it stunted or thwarted or blocked, you know, it is a little bit like a firecracker that doesn't have anywhere to go. You know, it's a little scary, but mostly just, you know, it's just a waste of energy, and that's always, you know, that's never a happy thing, you know. But it definitely, one thing that it does tell you to do is to consider things very realistically. And again, that globe, and, you know, it's interesting, me talking about the environmental videos, you know, sometimes you have to be realistic about things. And that's so interesting, you know. Again, yeah, this card is definitely speaking to me today. I'm glad we got a chance to talk about it today, at this time, at this moment in time, because we are close to Earth Day and we are facing really kind of scary things. But it's interesting how when you get faced with reality, right, when reality kind of smacks you in the face, like, okay, this is real, this is happening, you know, either that, or when you think about your planet and you're like, okay, am I really doing, is this really making a difference? You know, that would be something that you would kind of consider when you look at the Two of Wands in the reverse. Okay, is this action really making a difference? What is the reality of this situation, right? And lastly, when it comes to, you know, when it comes to the Two of Wands in reverse, talking about people, it usually would mean like and again with the two, it could mean someone who's kind of a bad partner. Maybe you're doing business, or you're in partnership with someone who is that loose cannon. They're restless and they're driving you nuts. They're making poor decisions, or, you know, someone. It could also mean someone who doubts their own abilities. Like maybe you do have somebody who just feels really like they lack self-confidence, but this is your partner. This can be, you know, it could be a spouse, it could be a business partner, but basically either that, or it could just mean that this person is feeling this way at this time, you know, that normally your person is really dynamic, but they're going through a blue phase or possibly depression, and it's making them act out. So those are all interpretations. So the other thing is, and last and, you know, not least, is that it can mean that someone who's a little bit of a hothead. You know, if you've ever had that friend that you're afraid to go out with because, you know, maybe after they have a drink or so, they're trying to start fights, or they're acting stupid, and they just kind of get off the chain with things. That could definitely, you know, almost like that expression, like, oh my God, you know, I knew this person was going to do this. Why did I invite them out, right? So, but definitely, guys, you know, either it's a very powerful card, you know, for the minors, you know, they're minor, but they pack a lot of punch, you know, and definitely the Two of Wands is one of those that has a lot of interpretation. But what I will do is I will go ahead and get into your personal reading. So let's see, how does the Two of Wands manifest in your life right now? I will go ahead and freeze frame. The first deck is the Rider-Waite-Smith, and paired with it is a Sunstone. The lighting really doesn't do it justice, I'm sorry guys. But the second deck is the Anna K Tarot, and you got the Smoky Quartz. Focus please, thank you. And the third deck is the Linestrider Tarot, and believe it or not, again, the lighting is not doing it justice, but I have a beautiful bright blue stone. So let me try to see if you can see this. There you go. Yep. So I'll go ahead and we'll do a freeze frame. Please choose from your gut instinct, whatever deck you're drawn to, maybe the stone or the artwork, maybe the number or the timestamp. But if you need more time, go ahead and pause the video, and I'll see you. Okay, we're back. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a rabbit, put our crossroads guy. Can't talk today. And let's go ahead. So deck number 1, Rider-Waite-Smith. How does the Two of Wands manifest in your life? And then we're going to clarify with our music oracles. How does the two... Oh, that's way too many cards, sorry. And the High Priestess really wants to pop out, so I'm going to make a note of that. Okay, Two of Wands. How does the Two of Wands manifest in... Thank you. Deck one's life. Okay, this guy really wants the Knight of Swords really wants to come out. Okay, presently. Okay, we see this. Interesting. We'll put this off to the side. The future. Wow, we got a really big spread here, guys. I'm trying not to take a million cards. Okay, please. One card, please. And we will keep that off to the side. Okay, we'll go ahead and take that one. All right, and let's go ahead and see what is our music oracle. These are really fun cards. They've been... All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We got quite a bit here, but it's okay. We'll make it. We'll pull it right through. So first off, in the past, I definitely see as if we've got the Lovers, and this was coming off a cross, right? You know, the fact that the Two of Wands can be proud, and you've got the Nine of Cups. I definitely think that in the past, there might have been conflict with somebody. It could have been in a relationship, or the other thing that I'm kind of getting is that it might have been a choice. Again, with the Two of Wands being a choice, you had a choice between two things, and it was really difficult for you. It stirred a lot of internal conflict. And I do think that the choice that you had, what you had existing really had the potential of making you happy, like you were content. But I definitely think, I'll be honest, the way that I'm reading it is that I really kind of get the feeling as if you got a little prideful. Like, I think you had options. The other thing is that the Five of Wands is competition. You see how all of the persons are equal, right? It's equal competition. It's like healthy competition. But it definitely made you feel kind of smug, right? It's like, oh, okay, look at me. I've got all these choices, right? These are all mine, right? But then you got this was the guy who really wanted to come out. But the Knight of Swords is a real kind of fierce talker, right? It's someone he's very exact in his words, but he's almost forceful in his words. So I definitely get in the fact that this is the past. I think that you might have had a choice between kind of two life events. That life event could have been a significant relationship and maybe another goal. Maybe you were... maybe you had something going on at work or just some other milestone in your life that was really taking a lot of your attention. You know, if you're like in school, maybe you had a chance to travel, but you didn't want to, you know. A lot of times I see this kind of combination for off to college. Maybe you have a boyfriend, you know, maybe you have a boyfriend or girlfriend that you were in high school with, and then one of you goes off to college, and it's this really hard decision. It's like, okay, how do I keep this relationship, or do I go off to these new horizons that are beckoning me, right? But I definitely feel like in the past there was a moment where it was a tough choice, but you had a lot of options, and you definitely felt kind of like, ooh, you know, you felt king of the hill is the vibe I'm getting. You felt like all the gamble was in your favor, right? And I do think that you might have said a few things, or you might have kind of been a little bit smug in what you said. You know, again, you know, the other thing about these choices is that sometimes you have to be kind of delicate. You know, if you are deciding to go with one option instead of the other, sometimes you want to be very kind by telling the other person or the other situation. I often think of it like a job interview. You know, what if you're interviewing for several jobs at the same time and you decide to go with one over the other, you don't want to necessarily be like, well, I just went with these guys, peace out, suckers. You don't want to take that attitude, right? Like, I'm choosing this other thing, bye. If you kind of do that, you might be leaving some conflict in your wake, right? And especially if this was a relationship, this other option was very viable. It could have made you very happy. Now, in the present and directly under the Two of Wands, you got Strength and you got the Four of Pentacles. So I have a feeling that this new horizon, because remember we also said it's a gamble, that new rod doesn't mean that, I kind of get a vibe of not all that glitters is gold, Sometimes you might have had a very solid thing, the rod that's bolted to the wall is on the top of a palace, on top of a castle, That's pretty good. As humans, isn't it funny that sometimes when you haven't had enough life experience, all I can do is relate it to relationships. So forgive me, I'm a sun sign Libra, so I have a lot of romanticism in me. But have you ever, and you see it in movies all the time too, maybe you had a high school sweetheart and then you went out and you were like, oh well, you know what? There's a perfect example of that. If you've ever read the story of John Bon Jovi, his wife Dorothea is his high school sweetheart, right? Like they fell in love when he was not famous, right? When he was young and not famous, they fell in love. And then later he got he was pretty young when he got his music contract, right? And he started touring and he started getting the girls. And all of a sudden he was like, well, I don't need this. That's high school. That's still high school. I'm a big rock star now. And he got out on the road and, he was doing the musician lifestyle. And he later really missed her, right? And then he came back and he proposed to her. And they are together to this day. It's a real glamorized love story. But here I am definitely getting that kind of vibe because I'm seeing that you're holding in your emotions and you're holding on, right? It's almost like you're holding on to something. Here I'm kind of feeling like you don't want to, you don't want to make a choice. You don't want to give up one or the other. Either that or I think you did maybe kind of got flippant with one of your choices. And I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying, that's the way I'm reading it. Don't shoot the messenger. But definitely there were some quick words. There were just some quick words. It doesn't have to be, good or bad or indifferent. And it's definitely like that. It's like, it's that feeling of, oh, well, I just got a record deal. I don't need high school anymore. I'm on my way, right? I'm on my way, waving in the rearview mirror. But then later, when you actually see where that other path leads, you might look back and be like, that first rod was not bad. It really made me happy. So here I definitely get a feeling like you're holding back a lot of emotion, like you're containing, you've made a decision. And when you made that decision, you're almost living with it. You're sticking to your decision. You're saying, no, I'm not, I went ahead and chose this other rod. I'm not going to worry about the first rod, but you are worrying about the first rod, right? You are. You're holding in you're feeling a lot of primal feeling about the other decision. And that could be a job. It doesn't have to be a relationship. I'm just using that as an example because it helps put you in your mind, Same thing with the two jobs, Maybe one job was offering more money, but it didn't give you as much personal fulfillment, It's kind of the same soup, different bowl. But I definitely think that you're keeping yourself in check, but I have a feeling that this other rod may not, it might have given you some things, but I don't think that it's giving you everything that you anticipated, right? It might not have been as good as your Ace of Wands, right? Then as you move forward and, oh gosh, yeah, guys, I'm glad I described it that way because that's, you got the Seven of Cups and the Nine of Swords. So I think, there we go. What I'm thinking is that this is definitely kind of, this combination is a little bit, and there's no bad cards in tarot. Don't be scared by this. It's kind of that I opened a can of worms kind of feeling, right? You have all these options, you know, and you don't know which cup to choose, and you've almost got gridlock going on in your brain about it, right? You're kind of like, see, I went for the rod that you went for the open ocean, right? Because it had all that opportunity. But the first rod had you nice and safe and sound, but it does kind of look like a fence, right? It's not going to give you as much freedom. Then you go for the freedom and whoa, that was too much freedom, you know? Now I don't know what to do. I'm just lost, you know? Instead of having one path that's straight, I have 360 degrees of where the hell am I going, right? That's the vibe I'm getting. And the thing that I'm feeling is that you're kind of feeling left out in the cold. It's not really fulfilling you. It's not fulfilling you. I have a feeling it has to do with this other rod too. One rod is this kind of, the Lovers is what it is. It's a choice, but it's also could have been a relationship that you gave up. You know, you could have given up a relationship to do something else. And now you're forcing yourself to stick to the decision that you made, but you're feeling very anxiety prone about it. You might be questioning what you did. You're feeling kind of lost, anxiety prone, and you might be feeling a little left out in the cold, you know, but it's not a bad thing. The other thing is this is feeling poor, but it doesn't have to be poor in the financial sense. It's more like it could be poor in the financial sense because honestly you are going from the Four of Pentacles to the Five of Pentacles. So again, if this is job related, maybe you went for a career that, you know, you thought was going to be more glamorous or give you more of what you wanted, but then it just didn't quite. I mean, the Two of Wands are not in reverse, but I definitely think I see you sticking to a decision. You're being tenacious about it too. You're like, I picked that wand, I'm going to stick with that wand. But then you ever have it where when you make that decision and then all of a sudden your gut, the center of your chest is going, change your mind. Why did you know, it's not too late for you to change your mind. And here you are like, you know, you're like, shut up, inner voice, shut up. You know, I'm sticking to my wand, right? But it is making you feel, it's making you feel like this, right? So I think at some point you are going to have to decide whether or not, you know, this could very well be a situation where maybe, you know, we've all had those moments in life where maybe we walked away from something that was really good and we're afraid to go back because we're afraid to eat crow, right? We were pretty proud when all this started, and you know, now not so much, right? You know, but there's no harm in saying that, okay, I made a bad choice, you know, that's fine. But let's go ahead and look at your musical oracles. First off, you got Michael Jackson. You got being unusual is not enough. You must be remarkable. Remove yourself from contact with the ordinary. The world is the dance floor of the creator. And remember how we talked about this, about being different, about getting away from the status quo? So you know what the vibe I'm getting from this and all the red? It looks like a lot of the same coloring, doesn't it? Gosh, even the shoulders. Look at that. Look at the shoulders of his cloak. Oh my gosh, guys, synchronicity alert. I wonder, you know what? This could be read a few ways. Maybe you got into a job that you thought, I really get a feeling like you were a free thinker. You're a very, you don't like to be micromanaged. Maybe you went for a job for the security of it. Maybe it gave you bigger pay or more incentives, but it definitely kind of bridles you, like it makes you feel a little bit more closeted, you know, and you are original, right? Either that, or maybe you took on a job that required that you be that you really make, you know, the difficult decisions and you feel like, maybe you feel like you're not enough, or maybe you feel like you're just not approaching it the right way. And the other card that you got John Lennon. Not everything you see is a mirage. Not everything you hear is a lie. If you enjoy wasting time, then it isn't wasted. Peace is the only thing worth hoping for. And not everything you see is a mirage. That is, remember how we talked about, you know, looking at that other wand and thinking that was the greatest? Maybe you did get into a situation that turned out to be a little mirages, like a mirage, I'm sorry. So not everything you hear is a lie. So maybe you are in a situation that you thought was going to be different, but there are some elements there. I get a feeling like some elements of what you went for did turn out the way you wanted, but some things didn't. And the other thing is, if you peace is the only thing worth hoping for. And here I definitely get a feeling like you want some peace, right? You're hoping to find some kind of resolution to this situation, but remove yourself from contact with the ordinary. The other thing that I'm kind of getting to is maybe the Two of Wands is the action it wants you to take, you know? What if it wants you to get away from the ordinary and you haven't? Maybe you've been sticking to the status quo. I don't see, and honestly, both of these musicians are very outspoken, right? Both of these musicians, they lived lives that were outside of the status quo. They almost got criticism for it, right? So that's the other thing that I'm seeing with that. Maybe it's calling you to do that. But all right, guys, we had a lot of cards on that one, but that was powerful. That was powerful. And honestly, it's your life. It's your life, right? It's your life. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. You know, it's your time. It's your prerogative. It's my prerogative. All right, deck number 2, the Anna K. We got this card and the Smoky Quartz. How does the Two of Wands manifest in your life? Ooh, you saw that. How does the Two of Wands manifest? Wands manifest in your life. And one last card, please. Okay, a little bit more. Ooh, you have a flipper that wanted to flip. All right, can you see? Okay, future. Four of Wands, Four of Pentacles in the exact same place in the first read. Okay. The World wanted to pop out. Let's see. If it's really meant to come out, it will. Oh. All right, guys. Oh, and your music oracle. Oh, we keep wanting to get 2, so I'm going to go ahead and go with it. Maybe we'll just do 2 for every single one. All right. Gosh, guys. Yeah. All right. So I definitely get a feeling like in the past, you definitely follow the rules, right? I get a feeling like you're someone who's very used to following the rules. I get the feeling that it's almost like you feel safe in a system. You feel safe in a system, right? It's almost as if I get the feeling that, you know, again, you've learned a lot. You're very knowledgeable, and I think you are somebody that people follow. Like you're a good teacher. You're a good teacher, and you're also a good spiritual example to others, right? But the only thing is that you do not deviate much from the status quo. Like you follow the rules and you follow an ethic. You follow the rules and you follow your ethics, and you are a good example to others. But the only thing is, you do not. With that, you have a very regimed life. Like, I don't think that you deviate much from your routine, and that's not a bad thing. You know, whatever makes you happy, this is your life. But I definitely think that you follow the rules, right? You kind of you don't necessarily do what other people's expect of you, but you definitely, you stick to the status quo. Now, presently, you really have a process of doing things. Like right here, I almost see this interpretation of the Three of Pentacles. Normally the Three of Pentacles has several people in it, and here you have one person who's completing a task. And you see, this isn't the first window that he's done. He's done windows before this one, and it's almost like he's putting that last piece of stained glass in the window. So here I do get a feeling as if I have a feeling that you've really perfected something in your life, whether that be a project, whether that be, just family and life. I think, you know how when you start something, like when you become a parent for the first time, or you start a new job, you feel a little rickety at first because you're not quite sure if you can do it. You have yet to create a system, right? But once you've done something enough times, you become a pro at it. You just know it backward and forward, and you have a system. Again, I'm getting a real strong system with this. And here you see this person completing the last task, right? And he's doing it alone. He's doing it, he looks like an artisan, right? He's perfected this window and he's finished this window. But here I get this feeling like underneath it you have the Four of Pentacles. Now the Four of Pentacles can be seen as a little bit of a stingy card, but I don't really read it in that context. I see it as being very withdrawn, as someone who's kind of keeping to themselves. They're holding to themselves. They're being reserved, right? And here you see all this surplus. He has the logs, he has the money, and he's almost kind of turning his back to the people who are there looking at him. Now, I have a feeling that, I don't see this in a bad way, but I just kind of get the feeling, what I'm kind of getting the feeling of? It's almost like these three people like, hey, will you come out and play with us? And you're like, no, I'm busy with my pentacles, right? And you see the same pentacles here, right? It's the same pentacles. It almost looks like, no, I'm too busy. I have a feeling that you might have become a little bit detached from the world, right? Not in a bad way, but maybe you've gotten really engrossed in your job or even in your family. You know how you hear when you become a parent, or not even in a bad way, just that, you put your family first, and before you know it, it's been 2 years since you've gone out with your girlfriends, right? I have a feeling that, and again, this being right underneath the two, is that you're coming to a crossroads. You're coming to a crossroads. You know what to do backwards and forwards, and I think you're almost afraid to try something new, to try something different, and it's funny, I do think the universe is sending you people or sending you things to try to get you out, to get you out of the monastery, to get you out of the, to get you out in the open, right? But I feel like it would be leaving your comfort zone. I'm definitely getting that very strongly. It would be leaving your comfort zone, and that's making you feel a little bit out of sorts. It's like, well, I've been making stained glass windows for so long. I'm good at it. I know it backwards and forwards, right? I could teach other people how to do it, right? But the universe is really kind of you might want to break out of your shell. Now, what I think is interesting is that the next card is you go from the 2 to the 3. And the Three of Wands is that person. He's, by the time you get to the 3, he's not only made the decision, and the thing is, you see kind of gray clouds, right? Which kind of means indecision. And here, moving forward, you see him not only pick a path, but he's almost climbed to the mountaintop. He's enjoying the view, right? And look how excited you look. It looks like the same person, doesn't it? Looks like the same person. Maybe you got a little bit of a haircut. But, and it's almost the same thing, except it's something new, right? I have a feeling that, I do feel like the universe is really, the universe wants you to go down a new path, right? Now, underneath the Three of Wands, and again, the 3 means, just like the 2 can mean a partnership, the 3 can mean, a collaboration. I do see the Knight of Rods, so the Knight of Wands, and the King of Pentacles. So I can kind of read this one of two ways. It could mean that this could be your energy. You know, you're getting out of the, honestly, the way I read it too is that it can almost be like you've acquired quite a bit of wealth, or you've acquired a lot of skill. You've acquired a lot of what you value, right? And here you still have pentacles in your future. You actually have the King of Pentacles in your future, which is the head of the suit, right? That's the last card of the Pentacle suit. So and you still have rods too. So I think what it's telling you is that you can still have this abundance, you can still have this skill, but still have this passion for life, right? You can be a knight, you can go charging in, you can have a passionate expression, you can climb mountains. You don't have to be inside all the time, and you don't have to do the same thing all the time, is what I'm getting. It's becoming rote. It's becoming repetitive. It's boring, right? And here, I think that it's just telling you that you are going to reach the apex of the pentacles, right? You'll still become the Master of Pentacles. You'll still become the King of Pentacles. But it does also need you to exercise your spirit a little bit too. Now, alternatively, these could be two people. This could be symbolic of people that you will be dealing with in the future. Maybe you have two personalities in your life. Kings are definitely more mature, so it could be like a father figure, someone who, really, this could be someone who helps finance or helps, fiscally support these adventures. Maybe you have a parent that is helping you to get, to reach that mountaintop, to encourage you. Maybe he's helping you take care of financial things, or he could very well be paying for you to travel or helping you travel. And then the Knight of Rods could very well be either a friend or a colleague or a peer that is just kind of being the example. Maybe I kind of get the feeling that this person, this Knight of Wands, is really kind of nudging you. They're kind of poking you with a stick, like you need to get out, you need to get out. But definitely, I feel like you can encompass both of these energies. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. But I definitely see a lot of pentacles and a lot of wands. There's no cups anywhere. But I definitely think that you're coming from a place of a lot of regime, and, again, you look at these two cards, one is all inside and the other one is out in nature. And, and remember we said the Two of Wands is about expanding your horizons, right? Now, the two musician cards is you got Kurt Cobain. We're all in this mess together, so we might as well make some noise. Don't become your own tribute band, and you can't buy Teen Spirit, right? Oh, you can't buy. Oh, we're gonna get into that. You can't buy spirit. Look at that, guys. Oh my gosh. Tell me that is not. You can't buy spirit. And maybe this could be a fiscal thing. Maybe you feel like you have to just work and work and work to support your family. And maybe you've been remember how we talked about the Two of Wands can sometimes be that, and again, the expression on his face, well, I can't do that. I have too much to do. I can't travel. I can't do this. If you tell yourself you can't, then you're fulfilling, energy follows thought, and you're fulfilling your own prophecy, right? So, we're in this, the fact it says we're in this mess together, so we might as well make some noise. Maybe you really are in some kind of financial situation where you've been working really hard. And again, I just really get the feeling like they're telling you to make a decision and let loose. Or sometimes it can also mean just take a path, take a path and stick to it. That's the other thing. See where it leads. See where it leads, and try not to be afraid. Now, the other one that you got John Cage. Don't fall in love with your first idea. Surrender to chance. All great art contains at its center contemplation. So, wow, guys, and that's really beautiful too, because he's got a lot of earth colors too. So I definitely think that he's very practical, but don't fall in love with your first idea. just because, just because you're good at something doesn't mean that has to be the only thing that you do for the rest of your life. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Surrender to chance. I mean, how perfect is that? And, great art at its center is contemplation, Maybe, and the other thing that I noticed about Pentacles too is that they're the practical thinkers. They're the folks who always need to have a solid plan, while the Wands are kind of like, they'll fly by the seat of their pants. They don't care. They don't need to plot out every step or know how every turn is going to go. So it is kind of telling you to have kind of a mix of that energy. Don't fall in love with your first idea. Go ahead and see where the path leads, and you would be surprised. It's going to take you out of your comfort zone, but it's going to lead you to some really amazing places. All right, guys, so that was deck number 2. The How to Tarots always run a little bit longer, so we're going to keep on going. One more deck. So deck number 3, the Linestrider Tarot with the stone. I'm not even sure what you call that stone. It's so pretty. I think it's a fluorite. So deck number 3. How does the Two of Wands manifest in your life? Okay, way too many cards, but we'll go with the top one. Okay, middle card. And future. Oh my gosh, the King of Pentacles again. Wow, we have a really strong collective energy. Like a King of Pentacles trying to come out here. In the first deck, we had the Nine of Wands here too. We had the Four of Pentacles in the middle for these two. It's pretty crazy. Wow, oh, that's good energy, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and get your oracle. Let's see if it gives us one. Ooh, no. That gave us 2. I love it. The cards are like, nope. We're going to do what we're going to do. All right. So, wow, guys. Oh, you guys, poor baby. Now, sorry. I'm reading impartially, but I'm empathizing. So in the past, you have a present energy of being in the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is the mental stalemate, right? It's almost putting kind of a mental block on your mind where you're trying not to think about your emotions, and you're trying not to let your emotions get the better of you. It's almost like you're keeping a blinder on, right? You're keeping in balance. You're keeping mentally balanced, but underneath it, or the root of that energy, is you got the Ten of Swords and you got the Nine of Cups. So I'll be honest, guys. I really feel like you feel stabbed. You feel stabbed in the back. I really get this feeling like someone might have been you might have been through a situation that caused you a lot of pain, and whoever delivered that blow, or it doesn't even have to be one person, it could be, a situation, you really feel like the other person got away with it, right? It's the cat that ate the canary, right? And remember, we talked about, the Two of Wands, we talked about how it can mean pride. Now, one other thing that I can kind of read this, I can read this 2 ways. Either someone really did you dirty and you feel like that person got away with it, like that person got away with murder, right? Like that they got away scot-free, but yet you had to deal with all the pain, and here you are just being silent. You're stewing, you're reining it in, you're keeping it classy even though someone did you real dirty. So that's one way I can read it. The other way that I can read it is that maybe on the surface, you're acting like nothing is fazing you, like you're acting really cool, calm, collected. But underneath it, the reason that you're acting so cool, calm, collected is because you're really, really hurting. You're really, really hurting. You could have been betrayed, but you're too proud You're too proud to let that show. You're too proud to let anybody see you bleed. Right? You refuse, right? You refuse. And you're staying in that real armored energy. The other thing is you're refusing to see it. The only problem that's kind of a block for this kind of energy is that whether you were the person that was wronged or whether you know, either way, I do feel like you're the person who took that was harmed. I think either way, sometimes the Two of Swords energy is putting your heart on lockdown. It's refusing to acknowledge that you're hurting as bad as you are, and unfortunately, that can really build up. That kind of push down energy can pop up in really scary ways sometimes. You can be showing, if you've ever watched videos that talk about some of the hidden signs of depression or the hidden signs of repression, like sometimes you get irritable for no reason. Maybe you snap at someone that didn't do anything to you. Sometimes you sleep too much. Sometimes you don't sleep enough. You just start showing all these kind of weird symptoms. And remember, we talked about how the 2 is pure energy. It's like the Ace of Wands, volume 2, right? It's the you continuing past the spark of a beginning, right? So I do, but this is past, but definitely, I definitely get a feeling like, yeah, I do feel, and again, this does mean pride, it does mean pride. So I really get the feeling as if you were really hurting and you didn't want anyone to see you. It's almost like you wanted people to think that you were okay, and you're putting up a lot of, you're not letting yourself be vulnerable. You're not letting yourself think about the hurt, because if you think about the hurt or if you try to let it out, I really get a feeling like you're afraid it's going to overwhelm you. But you've hurt a lot. The good thing about this though is that the 10 means that there's no more pain that can come from the source. It is the culmination. The 10s are the ending of the cycle, right? If that's any comfort to you at all. But in the middle, we got the 8 of Swords, and again, we got more of stuck swords energy, guys. And here we have, so you're kind of refusing to see, or you're refusing to acknowledge that you've been wronged or hurt, and yet another blindfold, guys. Yet another blindfold. These 2 characters have blinders on, right? And here, I have a card set that talks about confusion, or just feeling confused, feeling lost, feeling tangled. I really get a vibe with all the blue in that too. I really get a feeling like you just want to move forward, right? And again, with the 2 of Wands, I think you want to move forward fast. Again, that rabbit, that rabbit's ready to turn and just, hot-footed out of there, right? But you're confused, you're stuck, right? You want forward movement, and you want it really badly. But you don't want to go off blindly, because again, you have a lily in this picture. It means wisdom. It means making the right choice. And I think partially you also have a globe in this too. I think you're trying to decide what would make you happy, right? You've had a world of unhappy fairly recently. You've had a lot of painful lessons. So here you're just feeling kind of like stuck, and you're feeling like, okay, what would make me happy, right? Should I stay or should I go, right? And I am almost getting that kind of feeling. Well, no, I'm just feeling very stuck. Yeah, I'm getting a stuck energy here, guys. Like you don't know what to do next. You don't know what would make you happy. And the other thing with that 2 of Wands is like you really want to run towards something, but you have no idea what to run to. Now, the future of this energy looks very bright, and I'm so glad for that too, because you got 2 in the past, 2 of Swords in the past, 2 of Wands in the present, and then you got Temperance. And oh my God, this is an angel of mercy, right? Temperance balances, right? Has one foot in water, one foot on earth, and she tempers, she pours, and she pours the vial of water and the vial of fire. I did How to Tarot on Temperance if you want to watch that. But I think moving forward, you're going to feel a lot more balanced. I think you haven't had balance in a really long time. And again, these two energies are couldn't be more opposite, right? One energy is just top of the world, smug, and the other one is just bottom of the barrel and just devastated, right? So, and then, in the middle, we just have really feeling powerless. So here, and you have Temperance coming to your rescue. I also get the vibe like the universe and your guides, or God, they're looking out for you. I almost feel like they might have been kind of keeping you stuck on purpose. You might have needed some downtime, because the Ten of Swords kind of pain. You don't just, it's funny when you look at that sword, you see somebody with 10 swords in their back, and in the Anna K Tarot, it even shows someone who stands up and starts walking away, and you're like, oh yeah, like that happens, right? It can require that you heal a little bit. And sometimes healing means standing still, right? You can't always be restless, because if you go off kind of half-cocked, right? If you jump towards something before you're really healed, or before you're really ready to try something new, that's just not going to work, right? That's not going to serve you. It's not going to serve anyone else. But you have a very bright future, because also you got the Six of Swords. And there you go, guys. You have more swords, but you have the most peaceful sword card in the suit, which is the people in the boat rowing to safer waters, right? And it's almost like that angel is guiding your way, right? That angel is balancing the situation and making it level. It's making sure that you have a safe journey, right? So I do think that you are the choice that you make, the decision that you make. Again, both wands are very powerful. You probably feel a little stuck and unsure of what path to take right now, but very soon, and the other thing that I'm getting is it's going to be a very gradual change. You've had enough shock. I think you've had enough shock in the past. It almost kind of traumatized you, is what I'm feeling. But moving forward, it's going to go slow and steady, and it's really you're going to heal, and you're going to go in a direction. And I definitely get a sense like the universe is looking out for you, and it's helping you keep on the level too. That's the other thing, is that sometimes these energies can make you feel just so out of control, right? That's the other thing, is that with all that tangling, it's just tangled emotions. It's just like, you don't know if you want to be angry or cry or throw something, or pick up and move to another state, change your name, dye your hair blonde. You're kind of like, where do I go, right? And also, I'm getting kind of like the sky's the limit is kind of the feeling. But I do think also this direction that you go towards, I think it's going to be slow and steady, but I do think that you're going towards something much better, and something that's going to make you happy again. And it's going to be slow and steady progress, but it's going to be very sound. And again, that rabbit isn't running yet, but I think you will be soon. I also see with the lily, it is experience, and not to give you that trite excuse of, every experience has its wisdom, but sometimes it's just a crappy experience, right? But I do see you going better places, and it's very divinely guided, and you're going to feel balanced. That's the other thing. I think that's going to be the most beautiful thing about this, is that you're going to feel balanced inside. Inside you're going to feel good. But the two music cards that you got, and oh gosh, I really love the colors too, guys. It's a lot of pinks. But you got Grace Jones, and it says, learn to be your own sugar daddy. Oh, harness the power of an unexploded bomb, always waiting, always ticking. To ensure survival, prey must become hunter. Wow, guys. Now that's very strong energy, but I kind of like the fact, I always love that phrase, learn to be your own sugar daddy, right? Maybe there was a situation, maybe, I don't really see any pentacles, but again, the cat that ate the canary, I wonder if someone felt like they had some kind of advantage, or, you know, maybe it was a relationship where someone, I don't know, maybe they had some kind of, you know, they had a little bit more power in the relationship, whether it be by, you know, maybe they brought home more money, or, you know, maybe you put them up on a pedestal. But here I definitely, I get a real strong sense of reclaim your power with this, right? You know, rely on yourself. Maybe this experience was a little bit of a lesson in self-reliance, which I know really is hard. It's a hard lesson. But I do love that. Harness the power of an unexploded bomb, always waiting, always taking. But we did talk about how the Two of Wands is a little bit of that, you know, that avant-garde card. It's that I could jump on this opportunity at any minute, and you can see that bunny's ready to run too. He does look a little bit like he's got a twitch, right? Like I could hop anywhere I want to in a minute, you know, in a minute. Now, the last card that you got is you got Beyonce, you got Queen Bee. So, confidence can be the most powerful aphrodisiac. Be both everywhere and nowhere at once. When someone sings from the heart, don't go tone deaf. So, you know, here confidence is the most powerful aphrodisiac. So, you know, if this is related to love at all, there's One Cups card. But, you know, really, they always say, you know, confidence is the best outfit you can wear. And, you know, to be both everywhere and nowhere at once, I kind of get that feeling like, you know, remember we talked about it a little bit too, is that sometimes the Two of Wands can be that restlessness, like you search and search, and you go here, you go there, you do this, you do that, and you're almost spinning your wheels a little bit. You're not feeling satisfied. So instead of running yourself ragged and still not finding fulfillment, you know, be both everywhere and nowhere. Just sit still, sit with it. You know, they always say, you know, sometimes when you've been through really hard times, you kind of got to sit in the poop, as they say. You just sit through it and kind of feel what you're feeling, and then start to heal. You know, and you know, but when it says when someone sings from the heart, don't go tone deaf, I really think it is almost saying that I see a lot of not speaking too. You know, the bird is communication. The woman is blindfolded and her mouth is closed. She's not saying anything. So I do also think that maybe, you know, it might be cathartic to kind of either sing or talk to somebody that you trust. Just kind of let it out a little bit. And I think that would help with the healing. It would help with the healing. But you definitely have a very bright future. The Temperance card is always a beautiful thing to see. It's very soothing. It's very calming. And it definitely means that things are going to get better very soon. All right, guys. Well, that was an awesome read. It definitely, the How to Tarots do always run a little bit longer, but I was really glad that you joined me with that. And I liked the music cards. That made it fun. Maybe we'll do some more of those or different cards for the next video. But I hope that you can join me on Saturday. I'm going to do my weekly energy card reading. And I hope you have a good week. And I'll catch you later. Bye.